This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait, Ricky, if I'm not mistaken, this is Too Old to Game, and I should not be hearing your voice. I should be hearing the fear-filled host's voice in Dave Oster, welcoming me in to episode 36 of Too Old to Game. Dave is not here today, got a little bit of what normal people and what everyone calls strep throat. So, like Dave said, it's kind of important to need your throat to talk and do things. So, Dave is at home. I'm hoping that he is resting up. But we are manning the ship without him today. I also want to apologize to YouTube viewers as you get the logo today, because on top of that, Mark is not here in studio. Mark, you are all the way and back home. How are you doing, the Mark Weber? I got to give you your proper introduction. I'm here with the Mark Weber.
I'm doing well. It's a windy day. Got a dog next to me. He's not barking at the moment, so life is great.
Well, I know that was one thing where I was talking to my parents, and I was like, yeah, because other podcasts I watch, some of them bring their animals on, and of course when Dave and I were at VidCon, I almost said E3, but when Dave and I were at VidCon, a lot of the creators were like, hey, you want to get viewers, bring your dog on the podcast. One day we'll have to have Boomy on one of the podcasts, I think. My dogs are way too big, so I don't think we can ever have them on a podcast as of late. That's what I was going to say. That just sounds weird. But let's get into the gaming stuff we're going to talk about. Welcome into Too Old to Game, the gaming podcast for MVP. We got a jam-packed show. We're going to be talking about a little E3 where EA is also, they're pulling the Sony model where they are not going to be having a press conference at E3. Mark and I are going to talk about the future of the E3 press conferences. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about a game that is being developed by the studio of Left 4 Dead, as they are going to do a co-op zombie shooter called Back 4 Blood. Before we get into everything, though, make sure to check out patreon.com/most valuable podcast. That's where you can go and support MVP and everything that we do for you guys each and every day, each and every week. And if you want to join a podcast, go ahead and support us at the $10 tier. Every month you're at that tier, you can join an MVP podcast and talk about the topic in which you would like to talk about. But Mark, let's jump into everything, and let's start with the big title topic of the podcast, which is E3. And it was announced earlier this week on IGN that EA is not going to have their own press conference. Instead, EA Play is confirmed to be happening June 7th through 9th with a kickoff event the night of June 7th. And rather than the press conference, EA has announced that it will skip the conference this year, instead replacing it with multiple live streams that will air during the first 2 days of the event. According to EA, the intention is to offer more gameplay to viewers as well as more insights from the teams making the games. EA Play Fan Fest will also be held on June 8th and June 9th. I want to ask you, Mark, with this coming out, EA not going to do the press conference. Sony has already said we are going to step back and we are not going to do a press conference at E3 as well. I want to ask you, what does this now mean for the future of E3 and the traditional press conferences that we have known up to 2019?
Yeah, the weird thing is E3 is such a tradition-based conference. I mean, they add stuff here and there, sure, but they do a lot because it's the way it's always been done. It's the way tradition is. And Sony kind of ruined it, to be honest, because Sony, they had their spot that they went always, and it was a great spot, and they're like, nope, we're out. Nintendo had already done this before, too, when they switched to Nintendo Direct. And like they kind of came back for E3 this past year, but they really kind of didn't at the same time. And now with EA, them jumping off ship too, and they're like, we're going to do it on our own time. We don't even care. We'll have our own event. It's going to have blackjack and hookers. And like all of a sudden, it's just sitting there going, and don't freak out in the comment section, but what's the point of EA?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, what's the point of E3? You know, it's like these big conferences, because yes, there's these really cool interviews that happen, and yes, there's people there playing games, and it's fun, and it's awesome, and all that, and you see these videos, but those videos are all like bite-sized chunks nowadays anyways. The cool thing were these big conferences. Sony gets up there, and for 90 minutes, they tell you about all the games they've got going on, and it's a big event, and everybody's reacting to it live, and it's awesome. And then you wait a little bit, and actually Sony usually goes at the end, but you wait a little bit in this scenario that I'm giving, which isn't really true, and now EA shows up, and EA talks about Madden, and they talk about, you know, all their games that are going on. And, like, you just have this cool 3-day experience for you and all your gamer friends, and if you have no gamer friends, the ones you found online, where you all just nerd out. You're all just excited, and there's all these cool things going on, and you just can't wait to finally play it, and you see all these new things that you're excited about. You see all the old games that you're like, oh, I can't wait when they come out with Left 4 Dead 3, you know, and then they finally show you it, and you're just going to sit there and be excited. But now, they're kind of taking that away from us. You know, they're going to give it to us before, or they're going to do their own thing later. You know, they're just kind of breaking things off and doing their own thing, where it's like, I loved the big event of it. You know, I mean, this is a nostalgia kind of podcast at times. I remember sitting there watching G4 on TV, watching the E3 press conference, and how awesome that was. Just sit there and then be like, I got to go online. I got to go on that message board, and I got to talk to people, and, you know, Facebook and all this stuff. I got to talk to my friends and text them, like, whoa, did you see that trailer? And now it's kind of like the big fanfare of the event is kind of dying slowly. And I get it, because it's so easy to just do your own thing now, and Nintendo's shown that they can be successful with their directs, and now everybody wants to kind of mimic that method. But I think we lose something. And to be honest, if it's not for this gaming podcast, I would not watch an EA press conference, like an EA event. I would watch the press conference because it's part of E3, and I want to watch like almost everything.
Yeah.
But for this, it's just like, I don't care. I'll just watch the trailer for Madden. And that's it. You know, and that's all I'm going to do. So I think it's disappointing, and I think if everybody branches off, they lose the, you know, well, I'm here anyways, so I might as well stick around for the next one type of traffic. So I think it's kind of a weird decision, and I think it's disappointing.
Well, the first thought that I have in my head is this where kind of, how do I want to phrase it? Is this where, as a gaming society, a gaming culture, is this where we're shifting now? Where you think of everything nowadays, I know Dave has brought up numerous times on this podcast where it used to be back in the day how you got like, should I buy this game? Should I not buy this game? You went to the reviews. If you're way, way super old, you opened up that like Nintendo Power and that gaming magazine, and you flipped for the reviews to read what it was like. Then when the internet came out, mostly kind of our generation, our age, it was like you had the IGNs, you had the G4s. They were doing their own reviews, and you would base it off of that. Okay, IGN gave it this score. I guess it's a pretty good game. I'm going to go ahead and get it. Whereas now, the streamers that are out there where I can, if I wanted to, let's say I had not purchased Anthem, and I was like, I want to see what's going on with Anthem right now, I could go to twitch.tv, open up any Anthem streamer, and kind of see what's going on. Or like, hey, I don't know if I should buy this game. What's the gameplay like? and I can see the gameplay from numerous streamers right now. I wonder if this is EA kind of moving over and trying to be ahead of the pack, where it's like, hey, we see this coming. We see the generational switch going to be happening. We want to be ahead of this. We want to maybe make our mistakes now when nobody else is doing it. So by the time more people are doing this, we are already rock solid in it, and we're just rocking it from day one. And then when people come over, they are behind us, and we are the ones that are putting the right foot forward, the good foot forward.
But they're already behind. They're already Nintendo and Sony who already have done it. You got companies that have already done this before, moved away from the big event. But the other part too is
I'm saying the live stream part where they say that they're going to have live streams of the gameplay going on those 3 days instead of their press conference. But
they're already showing the gameplay, and I'm going to put it out there, I'm going to be cynical. If anyone actually believes that EA is going to risk having live gameplay, I think you're kidding yourself. Now, will people be playing games? Yes, people will be playing games there, and then later, sure. But like the big event, no. That is going to be 100% scripted as it's always been. Would be my thought. I could be wrong, and that's okay. But my thought would be they're not going to do anything different in that sense. But like I just sit there and I maybe there's good revenue in this for them because they're going to sell tickets to be at it, and they're going to make money that way, or they're going to sell advertisements at their event and they keep the money. But I sit there and I'm just like, but same thing I said with Sony and same thing I said with Nintendo. What are you truly losing, or what are you truly gaining by not doing E3? Just do extra stuff. Do E3 and then still release your videos and stuff like that. I feel like I have to experience it to truly understand, what their vision is. Because right now I'm like, if you're just going to have basically a small version of E3, why don't you just do E3? Because then you get, like I said, you get the passerby traffic of, I don't actually care about EA, but hey, I guess I'll check it out because I'm watching anyways. Where Nintendo, I can kind of get it. Because they can say, this is a Super Smash Bros. Direct. You are going to get information about Super Smash. This is one for Nintendo. For Pokemon. You're going to get information about Pokemon. For Zelda. They just give you one thing, and they're like, this is what you're going to get. And maybe you'll get a few extra things, too. But you're really going to get this guy right here. And it's not really like that. EA is just kind of trying to make their own E3. And Sony, we don't really have as many details about what Sony's going to do. But so far for Sony, like when they're like, we'll just do our own thing, it's kind of like, all right, so you're just going to tell us your stuff in a format that you could use. I still think Sony is saying we don't really have anything to announce, so we're just going to not. I just don't see the value in leaving. I see the value in adding, but I don't see the value in taking away something where people have already been established to be there and to watch just because it's there.
Well, and the thing, too, I just want to throw this out there because numerous places have thrown this out there before, is the interesting thing with Sony pulling out of E3 this year is there's a few places that are like, oh, well, Sony's probably doing this because they aren't going to have a, blow you away kind of a conference. So what they may be doing is, hey, let's step away this year. Then next year when we possibly get the big PlayStation 5 announcement, boom, there we go. There's the big one. Or if PlayStation is just like, you know what? We don't need, that could be another thing. We don't need EA or E3 anymore. I feel like when we were younger, it was like we all come together for E3. And like you said, it's kind of the tradition where nowadays with Twitch and with how YouTube is kind of ruling the video and internet space, PlayStation is like, we don't need to have a conference. We can just drop a trailer. We can have our own event, drop a trailer, or just drop it on YouTube, and it'll do the same thing without having to, I mean, I don't know if it's how much wasting resources, but for them it could be, hey, wasting time doing that, and we could just do it a different way and kind of position ourselves and focus on other things that may help us a little bit better by doing the same thing. I get
what you're saying, and we had the conversation about Sony already, and I got what you guys were saying, but I still just don't buy that it's actually gonna do. Like, I don't buy that E3 is a negative. You know, like I totally agree that I think Sony just has nothing to say, and they're like, well, we're not going to go out there because we're going to say, remember what you guys saw last year? Look, it's here again. You know, like, we're still talking about The Last of Us 2. You know, and that's it. But like, I just don't see what you lose by doing something where there's already a culture established of everybody who watches it.
I also wonder, and this kind of goes back to my first point, is the demographic, because obviously gaming, although it's a little bit different now than it was when we were kids, where, I mean, you had it when we were, I'm going to say when we were like maybe 7 or 8, 9, and let's say like PlayStation 1, like around the late 90s, early 2000s, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, we grew up with PlayStation and Xbox from the beginning. Our parents and people a little bit older than us that didn't get into the PlayStation and Xbox realm, they were more like, you know, Sega, old NES, Super Nintendo.
I would still say that we were in that, though.
We were... I would say we're in the middle ground of, like, we had the old, but, like, for me, as soon as I picked up the PlayStation, it's like I was off with the PlayStation and kind of put my Super Nintendo and stuff away. Yeah,
for us, I think it's, you know, we saw the birth of Xbox. You know, there was times we were gaming before Xbox existed.
Yeah, whereas I'm saying the younger generation below us, because we're in our late 20s, the generation below us, they haven't been in a transitional period with that, where they've been in a period where it's been PlayStation, Xbox, just which version of those two systems did you grow up with? And then the only one that really kind of changed over the years was Nintendo. Like, they were kind of doing their own thing where it's like, hey, we got, like, after GameCube, oh, we got the Wii, then we got the Wii U, and now it's like, oh, we've got the Switch, whereas Xbox and PlayStation has been like, hey, here's a new system, does better things, but at its core is still what PlayStation and Xbox have been even since the first Xbox and the PlayStation 1. Yep.
Yeah, Nintendo's the only one that's been really willing to take a risk. And it worked out once and it failed once. So,
because, like, and what I'm saying with that is, with this, I'm talking about the younger generation below us, and anybody, I would say ages, if you are right now listening to this podcast, and I'm going to say if you are in high school or currently in college, this is a question for you, to where, are you going to be inclined to watch an E3 press conference? Where is this more of a thing, too, of, hey, the younger gamers might not sit and watch a press conference like we used to, where... But they do currently. They still do watch it. And that's the thing that... I totally understand the demographic thing of, like, yeah, but they would rather watch a streamer. But nobody's having a streamer do their press conference. You know, who pick your favorite streamer is very rarely debuting a game. And I mean,
the company wants to control that.
Maybe EA is going to change that this year, and that, like, we don't have a lot with it. We just have, like I said, the quote of live streams of gameplay. That could mean numerous things. But it's going to be interesting for what are they actually going to do without that press conference this year.
Yeah, and they're still a company. They still need to control, and that's the point I'm kind of getting at. Of they're still going to be a business. They're still going to be conservative.
Mm-hmm.
They're still going to want to have 100% control over what's going on. There's a reason why they half the time fake somebody playing a game, and it's really just a scripted thing that you see.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they don't want something to go wrong. You know, they want to show that best foot forward. And maybe I'm just not willing to let go yet, but I just sit there and I'm like, but people are watching E3. I mean, you know, you go on Reddit and you go to gaming and people are freaking out at E3. Even the people that don't watch it are still going back and watching it later,
mm-hmm.
or watching sections, you know, and still talking about it even though they didn't watch it. Like, it's still such a huge event. And it's not that it's not going to be trending on the days that they do their thing anyways, because it will. And maybe their thought is we're not competing with anybody now, which is fair. But I just think that you kind of lose it a little bit, because with the Nintendo Directs, for example, I don't really think about the Nintendo Directs. And we do this podcast, and I own a Switch, and I still don't really think about them. It's something that I'm browsing Reddit, and it's like, oh, hey, it pops up. That's right, they did that. Where, like, for E3, I got it on the calendar. You know, mm-hmm. I'm ready to go when it comes up. So I feel like this EA thing and Sony's eventually are going to be the same thing of I'm going to forget about it.
Mm-hmm. And
it's like, oh, that's right, that's happening, instead of I'm going to check Reddit all day today. Because it's F5 season. I'm going to just reload nonstop.
Well, and for me, I know you're the same as I am, where those press conferences, like last year for me, was because my job was a little bit different and I was at a desk all day. It was basically like, oh, my favorite podcaster, this YouTube channel, is watching the press conference live and reacting to it. Oh, I'm going to watch the conference. But I was still watching the conference all the way through. Like, I get hyped for that. Like, what is going to get announced? And your expectations sometimes get a little bit hit, where you're like, wow, I was expecting a bigger kind of slate from either this studio or that studio or this press conference and that one. And we have so many people that, like, just on YouTube alone, that react to those conferences. I don't think they're dead. I just, to me, wonder, when Sony pulled out, I got it, to where it's like, all right, maybe you didn't want a lackluster conference. You didn't want to half-ass it. Like, you bringing up The Last of Us is perfect. It's like, how much of The Last of Us can I show you without a release date? How much of it can I say, hey, we've got this, well, it ain't coming out this year. Or, hey, we've got this, wait, guys, it'll be coming sooner rather than later. Like, they showed it last year, and unless they have a release date and it's going to be like, well, it's dropping the beginning of 2020, then it's like, okay, let's kind of not have the conference, avoid maybe a lackluster conference, come back next year. Or I always thought they were a big enough company, a big enough force to where if they wanted to do their own, they could just do their own whenever they wanted. With EA, I'm interested. I'm going to be keeping a closer eye on this than I would in the past, because I want to see what they do and how it affects E3. Will it make a dent? Will it make other studios, other companies who have these conferences, will it make them adapt what they do instead of just the straightforward, here's my press conference at E3?
Yeah, and I wonder with the repercussions how that affects the gaming journalists,
mm-hmm.
Who are like, you know, especially the kind of freelance ones, or the ones who are smaller, the YouTubers and stuff like that. If everybody starts doing this, they're not going to be able to go to everybody's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the big advantage of E3. The thing that people kind of forget sometimes is it's a conference. Like, now it's for the gamer, but really it was a conference for the journalist.
Mm-hmm.
To go and see everything at once. Now, if everybody kind of does their own thing, It's like, all right, I've got X amount of dollars. We can afford to send you to Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and E3 and EA. But now that Rockstar is going to do their own, they wouldn't, but let's just say they will.
Yeah.
Now that Rockstar is doing their own, and now that Square Enix is doing their own, and we don't got the money to send you to those, so we'll just cover that one from here. Just watch the videos and report about it. Which is, you can get away with that, but it's just interesting to see industry-wise what those repercussions are going to be.
The thing that I think about, though, and maybe this is me, like, I have never worked for an IGN. I've never been in the video game journalist. I mean, technically, you could say we're part of the gaming media because we have a podcast on gaming, or the gaming influencers, as they like to call us. But the thing that I think of is one of the most important, like, the press conferences are great, but, like, if I was writing for an IGN, or, like, if we were actually going to E3, one of the coolest things about it would be the part where it's like, yeah, we reacted to this conference, it was great, but we actually got to sit down and play these games for, it was like a couple minutes, but we were able to play these games. Hey, what do you think about it already? Like, that is so important for E3 still. Yeah, exactly. And then if everybody does this, you might lose that in some senses. So it's a thing to watch. We'll see what happens with it, and we'll see how it affects everything else. Well, and it's exactly that. And, of course, let us know what you guys are thinking down below in the comment section. Mark, before we move on to the next thing we're going to talk about, I got to do a little bit of a pitch. Make sure you guys, if you're listening to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, make sure to go and rate and review Too Old to Game. 5-star ratings really help us out and make sure that we're pushed to the top of the charts for Apple Podcasts, and the more 5-star ratings we get, the more ears and the more gamers we can reach throughout the podcast kind of universe and the podcast space. But Mark, let's move on into the second story we're going to talk about today, where Left 4 Dead creators Turtle Rock announced that they're going to make a co-op zombie shooter called Back 4 Blood, and a little bit, this is exactly from Back 4 Blood, the number 4, not the word 4, but just a little bit from Polygon. It says the studio that developed the original Left 4 Dead is developing what sounds like a spiritual sequel, Back 4 Blood, described as a co-op shooter against hordes of zombies. In other words, it sounds like the Left 4 Dead follow-up that Valve still hasn't delivered. Back 4 Blood is being developed by Turtle Rock Studios, the team that also created Evolve, and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. In an FAQ posted to its website, Turtle Rock says it's going back to its roots and at the same time innovating on them. The developer is keeping details on Back 4 Blood close to the vest. The studio hasn't released any images of the game and teased new features we aren't ready to talk about just yet. Mark, you played. I wasn't a big Left 4 Dead guy. You said you played Left 4 Dead. What is your reaction to this, a co-op shooter by Turtle Rock, Back 4 Blood?
Honestly, and I know that you can still go play Left 4 Dead, and there's still a community of people that do. But, just give me Left 4 Dead again, and I'm fine. It's Left 4 Dead 2, and I'm good to go. I'm excited. And I think about it, and this was such a great kind of couch co-op type of game. You get the friends, and the first time I ever played Left 4 Dead was literally that. It was just me and my friends in a basement, and we were just like, hey, let's play this game. Someone bought it, and it was awesome. It was the 4 of us just having a great time trying to get through these levels. And the thing I love about it, too, for Left 4 Dead is they started this whole thing. It's not like they invented zombies, but they sparked the whole craze. They were doing this, and then everybody was like, whoa, people love it. Here's Nazi zombies now, and here's this, and here's that, all this type of stuff. At least I'm pretty sure this came before Nazi zombies. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But they were doing it so well in the cooperation that was required for this game. You can go and help teammates, or you can say, screw it, I'm just going for it. and everybody hates you. And that was the hard part about playing online because nobody could ever work together. Anyone who's played an online game knows that. But it was just such a fun experience. And then you can go and you can play as the zombies and how awesome that was. But yeah, it was such a good game with friends. It wasn't really a game that I personally feel is not a game you could really play on your own, even though it's possible. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't really a game that you match make with people. It just didn't really work well. But if you got a group of friends, it was so much fun. So if they can kind of give us a slightly updated version, that would be awesome. Because I've said before, Nazi Zombies, when the first Nazi Zombies happened,
mm-hmm.
and then maybe the second one, it was like the greatest thing ever. I loved it. It was so amazing. It was one of my favorite game experiences with my friends. And, all the LAN parties that we had and stuff like that. And just really late nights playing this game. That's what Left 4 Dead really is and what it was. And I've said that Nazi Zombies has, and I know that they just call it zombies now or whatever, but it's still Nazi Zombies. It got away from itself, and they made it something completely different, and they have to evolve, but they made it into something completely different than what was fun, which was just you and your friends trying your best to survive. You're going to die eventually, but how long is it going to take? And then can it take even more time next time?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Left 4 Dead was, where you did have an end goal, but it really was just you and your friends. Can you survive? Can you get there? And Evolve was not that good. I mean, Evolve was a fine game.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't fully fleshed out, and it wasn't fully what it could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot more, and it was disappointing, and that's really what the problem was for Evolve. But they really tried to establish the same thing, of just this fun game with your friends. And a game like Left 4 Dead, I mean, this was here before Discord.
Mm-hmm.
This was here before people were going online on, looking for gamer or something like that, or looking for gamers, where people were not doing that. So this could really reestablish itself with the new kind of gamer community that we have, the new connectedness we have to people all over the place. It's not just hoping that Matchmaker doesn't pair you up with another 8-year-old that's going to talk about banging your mom. So I am thrilled to have this. And if it's anywhere near as good as Left 4 Dead was, we are in a great spot, and this is going to be an awesome game. I'm really hopeful that they make it feel true and authentic
mm-hmm.
to what Left 4 Dead was, and it's not just, here's a zombie game, and it's Battle Royale, or whatever, because that's just following the trends nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be what they were, but just do it with what we have now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because the reason why, like I say, I wasn't a big Left 4 Dead guy was at this point. So Left 4 Dead in the U.S. came out November 17th worldwide on PC, and then the 18th the next day on Xbox 360. So it was a Microsoft game. It wasn't on PlayStation at that time. So, like, for me, I wasn't a Left 4 Dead guy. I was a Nazi zombie guy, which World at War, which was the first one, came out. It came out November 11th, but to be completely honest, I can't remember if World of War had... I don't think it had zombies at release.
It did.
It did? Okay. Because
I can't... You had to beat the game, and then you got
That's right. See, I could never remember if it had zombies at release or if it was like a patch that was, because I'm so used to patches now for my games.
They had DLC maps for zombies.
That's right.
And then eventually you didn't have to beat the game anymore. You could just play it.
So I was a World at War guy. That was my zombie experience. And correct me if I'm wrong, Left 4 Dead isn't the one where, like, I've seen gameplay where it's like you in the mall with a baseball bat, right? That's not Left 4 Dead.
No, Dead Rising.
That's Dead Rising. Okay.
Which was an awesome game when it first came out as well.
The thing that I wonder with this is, because you kind of hit on it a little bit with Call of Duty Zombies, which you said they now just call Zombies, is I've always felt like as the games went on, it was kind of like they got, whoa, look at this new crazy thing that we're doing. And I was just like, all right, this is stupid. Like, I'm done. I'm done playing Zombies. It is not what the core Zombies at its heart
like they
used
literally
to be.
had like a zombie giant George Romero one out in a frozen wasteland. And it's like, what the hell is this now?
Yeah. And to me, I wonder, because there's a game that I'm hearing a lot more about now that people are, they lifted the recent embargo, I believe, and like more podcasters are talking about it, but the game that it comes out next month, Days Gone, and it's not a game like Left 4 Dead or what Back 4 Blood is going to be. It's not a co-op zombie shooter, but it's a game that, although they don't call them zombies, they have a unique name for them. They're basically zombie-like characters. I wonder if, depending on when this game comes out, Back 4 Blood, if a Days Gone is going to kind of help a game like this, where maybe Days Gone, if it's really good, and there are some podcasters that I've heard that are like, when this comes out, it's going to be game of the year potential for just 2019. I wonder if it's going to like get the itch going for the zombie craze with some people. And then like people like you who were like, I remember playing Left 4 Dead, you're going to probably pick it up anyways because you have that memory. But if you have that itch because of a game like Days Gone, I wonder if when this comes out, if they're going to kind of like catch that wave and we're going to get like a new resurgence and like, oh, people are into kind of the zombie horde and kind of the zombie shooter games again, like we were back in the, what was that, late 2000s, early 2010s?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, 2008, 2009 is when Left 4 Dead came out. So, yeah, definitely kind of early 10s, I'd say. Early teens, I guess, is really when everybody was just doing this nonstop. And I don't know. We might go back to it. Maybe it's going to take over for Battle Royale, and Battle Royale will go away, and this will come back. Or we'll see what happened with Rock Band when they tried to come back, and it was like, yeah, we stopped playing this game for a reason. We're okay. We don't need it back. You know, they made such a big deal about Rock Band coming back, and I don't know a single person that played it. So it could go either way, but we were so inundated with these games to where it's like, I don't know if it will necessarily come back, but I also would say they never really went away. You know, we still had The Last of Us, which they're not zombies, but they might as well be. And I'm still a person who I will say they are not zombies, but they're close enough.
Aren't they clickers? Is that what they're called?
They're infected.
Oh, infected.
Well, yeah, clickers, but yeah, they're infected. They're infected by a virus, which you can say zombies are infected by a virus too.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing as Days Gone. They're saying, no, they're infected people. Like, the big thing that people are saying is, oh, because they're not zombies, you don't need to headshot in order to kill them.
Yeah, it's just a kind of convenient way to get around some of the rules. If people want, but who cares about the rules? Those zombies are way faster than zombies are kind of supposed to be at the time. There's a few people who take liberties with that. But anyways, yeah, we had Days Gone, we had The Last of Us, we had the one I really loved, which I can't, Dying Light. We had Dying Light, and we're getting another Dying Light. Like, you know, we still have all these zombie games. I'm pretty sure they still make Nazi zombies, too, in whichever one, that Treyarch, I think it's Treyarch's zombie, Call of Duty games that have it. But anyways, yeah, so zombies never went away. The Walking Dead is still an incredibly popular TV show. somehow, some way. So zombies aren't gone. So I think that this new Back for Blood can really kind of fit in well with something that already exists. And I just want to say, based on titles alone, Left 4 Dead does have that sound that you're going to play as the survivors, right? You're going to play as the humans because you've been left for dead.
Mm-hmm.
Back for Blood maybe makes it sound like maybe it's a vengeance thing for the people, but it also kind of makes it sound like, hey, you know what, maybe this has a little bit more focus on the zombies. Because the zombies are back for blood. You know, they literally rise back from the dead and blood. So I don't know. I might be reading into that. We have like zero information about this yet. So that's the stage we're at, just speculation. But that was always my favorite part, is playing as the actual zombies. I loved that. That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. And the only thing we got from the studio, too, and this is from the Polygon article, the studio said Back for Blood is our own brand new original IP. You'll be able to shoot up a lot of zombies like in Left 4 Dead, but there's a whole lot of new stuff in Back for Blood, which makes it unique. With me, if I'm just looking at the name, I don't necessarily, and of course, like you said, we don't have a lot of information, could mean anything. I take the Back for Blood title as kind of like studio, we are back. We are back for blood. We are doing this right. Like, because
Evolve didn't really work.
Exactly. Evolve didn't really work. Like you said, just give me Left 4 Dead 2 and I'm happy. This could just be a title where it's more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just more, I want to say symbology, but that is wrong. That's from Boondock Saints. Symbolic to the studio, to where it's like, hey, we're back. Let's call it Back for Blood because our players are going to want this game. They're going to love this game. We're going to pour our heart and soul into it, and they're going to love it, and they're going to want to get in, shoot up these zombies, basically it's going to be, I wonder if it's like, let's call it Back for Blood, because when you go and play this, like what you said, with you and your friends kind of on the couch co-op saying, hey, let's go ahead and play it, I wonder if there's going to be people that boot this game up and then be like, hey, let's get the band back together. Let's get the band back together, play some Back for Blood, and shoot up these zombies like we used to do way back in 2008.
Yeah. It's been a long time. It's been 11 years. And then Left 4 Dead 2, a little bit less than that. But it's been a long time. I don't know if the band is available anymore, unfortunately. But
Left 4 Dead 1 was 2008. Left 4 Dead 2 was 2009.
Yeah, so for Left 4 Dead 2, it's been exactly 10 years now. This game, there's a good chance it's not coming out this year, or if it does, it'll be holidays.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I can't wait. It's probably not going to be a day one buy for me because Evolve, like I said, was quite a disappointment. So it'll be. You guys have earned some skepticism from me, so we'll see what happens. I'm willing to buy it, and I'm excited to buy it, and I hope it turns out well, but I need you to show me that it's going to be good first.
Well, Mark, the last thing I want to end the podcast with is kind of just something fun, for the listeners out there. How many weeks has it been now since you bought your Switch?
I think 3.
Week 3.
Maybe I've had it for a month.
Maybe the week 3, week 4 update of how is the Switch still treating you almost a month after having it? Yeah,
I work has been crazy, so I haven't really gotten to play it very much recently, but it's been a lot of fun. I took a step aside from Mario Odyssey, which I was having a lot of fun with, because then I was like, I'm going to play Octopath Traveler. And that was fun. Octopath Traveler, I'm excited for round 2 with it, when they come out with another one, because story is lacking a little bit. I could use a little bit better story, but The game itself is fun. I downloaded a game. I played it before, but I was like, hell yeah, I want to play it again, and on a handheld. So I downloaded The Escapists 2, because those games are a lot of fun.
That's the one with the jail, right? And you're kind of escaping.
Yeah. You try and escape prison, and it's just it's like almost like a sandbox. And it's just a fun little thing. Like I have extra eShop credit, and my wife and I, we had like an hour before we had to go somewhere, and I was like, yeah, this is a perfect game for that.
Mm-hmm.
I finally have played it handheld mode. And you'll appreciate this because it gives me some extra gaming time. Not too long ago, my wife was tired. She wanted to go to sleep, and she wanted me to go to sleep with her. And I was like, don't worry, honey. I'll go to bed with you. I'm just going to also bring my Switch, and I'm going to play the Switch in bed. And it was awesome. It was great. She loved it because she was like, you're here. We're in bed. We're just going to sleep as a family. Life is great. The dog's sleeping in his bed. And I'm like, this is great. You're sleeping. I'm playing video games.
We're going to sleep together? Not really, because I got my Switch in handheld mode.
And it's right there. And I tend to wake up before her, too.
So you can get a little bit of Octo in before she wakes up?
Exactly. Just put it on the nightstand, pick it back up, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, the Switch. I cannot wait because I know for the Switch, it's for me going to get a lot of use in July when Dave and I have our 4-hour plane ride from Chicago to Las Vegas, then an hour plane ride from Vegas to Anaheim, and then Anaheim to Chicago is like a 4-hour plane trip as well. So that Switch of mine is going to be getting quite the usage in July on that plane. I'm just going to be sitting there, maybe listen to some music on my headphones, play a little Switch. I got to get a cut. The thing is, I don't know if I got to get more games or if I'm going to just save Breath of the Wild for that kind of a trip and just say, hey, that's just going to be my Breath of the Wild time.
Go for both. Get more games and play Breath of the Wild.
Well, and the thing is so today I just booted up my Anthem for the first time. I waited until today because this week they put out a patch that said, yeah, now Anthem should work on all the consoles. Because I'm like, good. I'm not going to... Dave, I know Dave said, oh, well, no, consoles were bricked. I'm not going to take that chance. So I waited until that patch came out. Did the first mission. It's pretty good. But, yeah, tonight or early tomorrow, I'm going to be downloading The Division 2. Going to be trying that out. Cannot wait to dive into that world.
And that's what blows my mind. You're like, got Anthem, just booted it up, and tomorrow gonna boot up Division 2.
Well, I already know what it like. If I had to choose between the two, Division looks like it's more up my alley. Anthem's a game where I know why I got it. I got it because Dave's got Anthem. Me and him Anthem's going to be like, okay, Dave, want to go play Anthem? Cool, I'm over there. With the Division, I was actually going to throw out to the real MVPs and fans of Too Old to Game. If you guys are going to play the Division, hit me up in the comment section. Maybe we can kind of get a clan going and do some stuff in the Division 2 because I am going to have literally nobody from the start, and I'm going to have to make some friends quickly in the Division 2. But that's going to wrap it up for Too Old to Game this week. Thank you guys for checking it out and basically listening along with us. YouTube, again, I apologize for being a audio only this week. Hopefully next week the whole gang is back together. Dave is hopefully resting up and will be over a strep throat. Hopefully Mark and I will be back in the studio with them talking about all the great gaming stuff that we talk about each and every week. Make sure to hit us up on Patreon to support us. $10 tier. You can join a Too Old to Game every time you are at that tier or any MVP podcast that you would like. Also, make sure to rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcast. Every 5-star rating really, really helps us out. I want to thank you again for listening on YouTube and podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.